From San Francisco, I'm Moira Gunn, and this is Tech Nation, Americans and Technology. My guest today is Jeff Liebowitz, Chairman of the Special Interest Group for the Interactive Services Association and the Director of Marketing for the Imagination Network, generically described as a virtual community and a cyberspace theme park. Networks and bulletin boards are commonplace to us now. We have the Internet, CompuServe, and America Online, to name a few. And then there is the Imagination Network. This network has less to do with information and a lot more to do with entertainment and socialization. I asked him how it was different.
The Imagination Network is an online game-playing network where people with personal computers can sign on over their normal telephone and telephone line to a world of thousands of other people, night and day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that are playing games. But games, as it turns out, is actually just an excuse. The actual value of the network is socialization. People talking with and playing games against other real-life people that are calling in from all over the country.
Well, I think that's one really important distinction. Most people think you log in or you call in and you're playing against the computer. You're just getting a game. But no, you're finding other people.
That's right. There are a few games that we allow you to play against the computer, but by and large you play games against other real-life people that have also called in with their PCs. And you may be in New York and they may be in Minneapolis or California, and you'll be playing a game against one or three or four or however many other people depending on the game. And they could be all over the country and probably are.
Now, truckers with CB radios have handles and people on the Internet have email addresses, but people on the Imagination Network have personas?
We have a cartoon-like persona, somewhat akin to the police kit, where you take certain noses and you put them on your face, and certain eyes and certain mouths and certain hair and clothes and so on. And you assemble a cartoon-like image of what you are or what you claim you are. And about 50% of the people on the network role play. They aren't
They're
exactly
lying.
who they say they are. Well, it's not lying, it's acting.
I see.
There's a subtle but definite difference. It's actually quite hard to do that kind of thing on the network, and you can usually ferret out the people that are real and the people that are role-playing. But you have a tune or a persona, and in it you can define your interest levels in games, your hobbies, your name, perhaps where you're located in the country. You can put your age. All of this is optional. You do have what others would call a handle, because you can assign yourself virtually any name. But everything else is purely optional, and you can make up whomever you want to be.
Now, do these personas, do they play a role in any of the games?
The personas not really, with a minor exception of when you're playing things like 3D golf. If you have a male persona, you get a full-figured male character playing golf, or a female persona, you get a full-figured female character. Of course, that has a different connotation there, but nonetheless, you have a tie-in essence. The personas are also different based on the lands that you're in. There are different lands within the world of imagination. There's the basic area, which is called the clubhouse, and the clubhouse has your basic board and card games like chess and backgammon and cribbage and so on and so forth. Then there's Sierra Land. Sierra Land is the arcade-style land. We thought for kids, but it turns out that more adults play in Sierra Land than kids. Then there's Medieval Land, which is a role-playing, dark and dungeon-like game, or actually two games called The Shadow of Cerberus and The Fates of Twinian. And then there's Casino Land, which is an adults-only area that is basically casino games, poker and blackjack and roulette and so on and so forth. Each of these lands has their own persona. So in Casino Land, you're a somewhat more risque adult. In Medieval Land, you're a gnome or an elf or a dwarf or a wizard or whatever you'd like to be
princess,
at night.
Jeff.
We actually don't have princess, but...
How politically correct of you. I'd like to encourage
exactly
that.
Right.
There we go.
Yes, we don't want to do that. In Sierra Land, you basically have the persona of a kid. Everybody looks somewhat childish, if you will, and it's for the kid in all of us. And then in the clubhouse, you have your typical adult-looking persona.
So your personas change as you move through the land.
Well, they don't change by themselves. You create different persona for each land.
Mm-hmm. What about Medieval Land? What do we find in there?
That is actually the most popular area on the network. It has what most people know of as Dungeons and Dragons types of games in it, where you become some very mystical creature and you wander through the dungeons trying to solve puzzles and find treasures and battle all of the many foe that will come up against you. And there are dragons and lizards and elves and gnomes and all kinds of things down in the dungeon. So you fight your way through, you earn points, you gain gold, you buy weapons, you solve mysteries, and eventually, perhaps, you solve the riddle of the mountain because you're basically in a volcano. It's quite an interesting story that I won't tip off. It actually takes about 100 hours to complete the puzzle. And then the Fates of Twinian, which is the next game after the Shadow of Cerberus, is even more difficult, taking some people as much as 1,000 hours to solve. So it requires a lot of dedication, and it really does get it. People are absolutely fanatical about the games.
Now, are these games available anywhere else or only on your network?
The Fates of Twinian is available as a separate boxed game, and you can play it offline. All of the other games are available only by virtue of calling up the network, and if indeed you buy the Fates of Twinian at a Software Etc. or similar store, you can also get online with that same software.
Now, in Sierra Land, there are all these different games, Rocket Quiz and Graffiti. Some of these were games that I knew from just going to the toy store, like Stratego.
Well, Stratego certainly is a very popular game that's been around for many years and very popular on the network, and we'll be bringing on more and more traditional classic Milton Bradley and Hasbro types of games onto the network as time goes on. But the other games present a wide range of activities, and that's basically the primary goal, is to give as broad a sense of enjoyment as we possibly can to all the members. Graffiti is a drawing package, similar to a lot of the PC drawing packages that have been around for many years. The difference being that multiple people can draw on the same picture at the same time. So I can be drawing on a picture in New York, and somebody in Atlanta can be drawing on that same picture, and we end up with a group-created picture. One thing we did not think of, but our members fortunately did, was that you can use the same feature to play Win, Lose, or Draw, or Pictionary, or games like that, and a lot of members use Graffiti for that purpose.
So you can play Hangman.
Right.
My kids are in danger now.
Well, actually, it's more adults that do that than kids.
Oh, really?
It's surprising.
You need to get on this network.
Basically, the standard computer that you buy in any store today, PC compatible, a 386 or better machine, you need a 2400 baud or better modem, a mouse, and obviously enough disk space to store the now 12 megabytes worth of software that we give you when you sign on. So it's a fairly basic system from the point of view of running it on your PC, but it does have a lot of games in it and therefore takes up some space.
Is it just IBM PC or clones? Can you also do it with a Mac?
We do not yet have a Mac version. We are, however, releasing in the not-too-distant future a version for the Sega Edge device, which is a device that you plug into your Sega CD player, and it allows you to dial up online services as well as present a keyboard and some other features. We will also be introducing a little later on in this year or early next year a 3DO version.
When I think about it, all the PCs that are out there, and unbelievably all the Sega Genesis that are out there, how many people could have access to this market? Millions.
Well, it depends on who you talk to as to how many PCs are in homes. However, Intel says that approximately 45% of all the PCs that they're shipping or that are shipped with Intel chips in them are now going into homes. That's dramatically different than it was even 3 or 4 years ago. So the number of PCs in homes is increasing at an incredible rate. There are something on the order of 20 to 30 million PCs in homes today. There are something on the order of an equal number of Sega and Nintendo types of machines in homes today. So there's some overlap, certainly. One might argue that there's perhaps 40 million homes that could be connected to online services.
How much does all this cost the user?
The basic membership is $9.95 per month, which gives you 5 hours of access, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There are larger packages for people that use a lot more time.
What's your profile of a user?
The profile is interesting. We deal with a split demographic, and the split is those people who purchase and pay for the service versus those people who actually use the service. The people that purchase and pay for the service are males between the ages of 18 and 45. But generally speaking, males between the ages of 18 and 45 are out earning the money to pay for the purchase of the service. The people that use it turn out to be not only their kids, but their parents. We are equally popular with senior citizens as we are with teenagers, and in terms of usage time on the network, those two groups use far more than males 18 to 45. We also have probably twice, perhaps 3 times, the number of female users on our network in terms of percentage than any other. We're approximately 20 to 25% female right now, which is dramatically higher than any other online service.
Well, when I think of the video game market, which has some correlation, I think we're talking 95-96% male, so this is a much higher.
It's much higher because, again, the games are not really the point. The socialization, which women are generally much more interested in and much better at, is really the hallmark of the network that people are attracted to. Computer games are striving very, very strongly to go toward the female market. There's no reason, logically, why females should not enjoy and play computer games just as much as males. What we find is that under the age of about 7 or 8, usage of video games is absolutely equal. Between the ages of 8 and 20, usage almost disappears for females. And then after the age of 20, usage actually picks up for females, not nearly to a 50-50 level, but considerably. I think part of that is explained in a book by Dr. Deborah Tannen on male-female communication called You Just Don't Understand. And one of the points she makes in that book is that males work in a hierarchical world where somebody has to be better than the other person. Somebody has to win. Whereas women tend to work and little girls tend to play in a world of equality where everybody should share and have fun and be equally pleased by the experience. The industry in general is trying to create games that appeal to that sense, which certainly would do well for men as well if we could learn.
Well, there's actually a story behind the story here, so let me kind of direct you over here. How did all this get started?
It's actually the brainchild of Ken Williams, who is the founder and president of Sierra Online, one of our parent companies. We recently have been acquired also by AT&T and General Atlantic, so we're now jointly owned by those three companies. Ken's image was really a network that his grandmother could get on at 2 in the morning if she couldn't sleep one night and play bridge. And the criteria was that it be easy enough for his grandmother to use and that it be affordable enough because she's on a limited income. As a matter of fact, the first 100 beta testers of what was then called the Sierra Network were indeed senior citizens that had never before touched a computer. And the concept was that if they could use it and like it, anybody could. And that approach seemed to work very, very well, and we are still to this day very popular with senior citizens.
I know many senior citizens who've gotten on any of these networks, and it really has made a real difference in their lives.
It's made a difference in a lot of people's lives, especially the 12 people that are now married as a result of having met on the network. And there are far more people that have met and dated and just made friends on the network.
Well, how do they hook up with somebody to play a game?
When you go into the land of imagination, you find yourself at a map that kind of looks like a New England town. And there's the town hall where you do your administrative things, and there's a post office where you do your email, and a schoolhouse for educational games, and then the lands that we discussed earlier. When you go into a land, you end up in what we call a waiting room, and there are many different waiting rooms in every land. The waiting rooms kind of imply what you might want to do there, though you can do anything in any room. For example, one room is called the chess and go room, so you might want to play chess and go there. One room is called the singles club, and there's also the singles place, and the singles this, and the singles that. Singles is a very, very popular area. Then, of course, we got complaints from the married people who said, hey, if the singles people have a place to go, we want a place to go. So there's the married club, and you can go in there and talk about married life and raising a family and kids and so on and so forth. The bulletin boards are unique to each room and kind of address the subject of the room name. When you're in the room, you see little placards that have people's names on them. And if you click on your right mouse button, you'll also be able to download their persona and see the picture that they've created for themselves, the hobbies that they claim they're interested in, their age if they've listed it, their town if they've listed it, and so on and so forth. You can then choose to just talk with that person, or you can invite them to play a game. And therein lies the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
A lot of these games in Sierra Online were created by Ken's wife, Roberta. She's been on the show, and she was talking about her philosophy of games. She's a designer of these games. I guess it's not too amazing that women would like to play them as well.
Well, Roberta's designed some of the most popular and best-selling games on the planet. Her game influence certainly carries over to the games on the Imagination Network, and when it was the Sierra Network as well. But there are no Roberta Williams games on the network per se. The types of games that Roberta does, by and large, don't really lend themselves to network play because there are multiple characters that have very defined possibilities as to what they can do and where they can go. It's very hard to bring that paradigm over to the network. We're working on it, and we'd like to be able to bring games like King's Quest and all of the other games that Roberta does over to the network, especially a mystery that she's now working on, which on CD is going to take up something like 100 megabytes. It's quite a game. But we haven't really been able to successfully figure a way to do it yet.
Now, I know with the regular adventure game, you can't sit down for your 1,000 hours straight to conquer the most advanced game here. Is there a similar feature?
When you're in the Shadow of Cerberus or the Fates of Twinian and you're pursuing your goals, you accumulate certain treasures as well as build up your character. You build the strength of your character, you build the influences of your character, you build the gold that your character has, and so on and so forth. So that is stored on your disk.
Other people are in the games with you at that time. Do they change as time goes on?
Everybody changes all the time. That's kind of the interesting part of the game. And if you play it once through with a team of people or by yourself, you never have the same experience twice if you play it again, which is kind of the beauty of the whole thing.
What's to keep a teenager from running up your bill?
We have a thing called billing level protection, and that is something that a parent can call and say to us, I don't want to spend more than X dollars. And we put that on the account, and if and when that limit is reached, we stop access to the account.
The telephone company should have something like that. They may.
That would be a great idea for the phone company, but it's kind of against their best interest to do so other than from a PR view. We have a very interesting dynamic on the network, and that is, on the one hand, we are theoretically a for-profit business and have to run it as a business. On the other hand, we've done too good a job of creating a sense of community to the point where our members sincerely feel that they are citizens in our electronic community and therefore have a vote, as they would in their town, as to what happens and who runs it and so on and so forth. And we take that responsibility as town elders very seriously, and we do our best to balance the business aspect of what we do with the cyber-civic responsibility that we have as the town elders we're seen as by the members.
Now, in casino land, that's restricted to adults only.
Yes, it is.
Why is that?
We allow what the industry calls hot chat, and that is why we restrict it to children.
It's not just because they're gambling.
Well, of course, they're gambling with casino bucks. There's no value to the money. It's merely an issue of getting more than your neighbor or continuing to win. There are no graphics that are inherently adult, but there is hot chat, and we protect the kids from that by requiring a signature stating that you're over 21 for access, and it has its own unique password. So you may have one password to get into the network in general, and then you have another special password to get into Casino Land, which theoretically only the parents know.
And, of course, we lie to them about why they need a password to get into Casino Land.
No, we don't lie to anybody. It's up to the parents.
I'm doing that. That's all right. How far away are your users?
We are strictly continental United States right now, and that is because of the access costs, which we feel are exorbitant in terms of either international or even Hawaii or Alaska access. There are a number of networks that are being developed now, specifically by our parent AT&T, that are designed for the consumer market and will begin to address some of those issues, so costs should come down for play from Hawaii or Alaska. International tariffs are another situation where we don't have a whole lot of control over what Canada or England or Russia may charge for access to a telecommunications network. Right now, it's theoretically possible to access us from anywhere in the world, but it's inconceivably expensive.
Why is that?
The reasons are not really related to anything technical. They're related to tariffs that other countries impose, kind of like a customs fee. If you're bringing product into and out of the country that is physical product, you pay some sort of tariff when you bring it into the country. Well, we don't have a physical product. We do, however, have an electronic product, and that comes over telecommunications lines. The only way they can tax or tariff our product is to simply tariff the time that we spend connected through to that country. And in the case of Russia, it's something on the order of $30 to $50 an hour. So it's extremely expensive.
Now, how much computer power do you need to service everybody who's on?
Believe it or not, the network runs on PCs. They are a series of currently almost 50 486-based PCs that are totally redundant and have power backup and all kinds of LAN backup. But the primary network that you are connected to and you as a user are online is simply a PC. We are going to move it over the coming months to Unix, but that's really only an economic decision. It turns out that Unix machines now for this kind of usage are a little bit less expensive. But there's no need for super-duper power because the games actually run in your PC. They don't run on the network. All we do is know that you're playing against somebody else, and we trade packets of information between you so that you can play the game together.
So when I get my original package from you and I load it on my machine for access, then it's sitting there on my machine and I'm using it, and then all that's getting sent back and forth over the net are these little bitty pieces of information.
That's correct.
Very smart. Now, in a real tribute to technology, you don't have to have any of these things located all over the country. You're located in Oakhurst, California. We
are currently located in Oakhurst, California. Portions of the company are going to move up here to the Bay Area in the very near future, but the network itself, where the machines are, will continue to be located in Oakhurst for a long time.
Now, all you listeners out there who know where Oakhurst, California, may now raise their hand. How many people there? Where exactly is it? Both of them.
Oakhurst is the southern entrance to Yosemite National Park up in the Sierra. It's a beautiful area. It's basically a tourist town. We are the largest employer in the county, far and away, and certainly the only high-technology company up there to speak of, though there are a few other small ones.
Now, Jeff, you're a New York boy. What's it like being in Oakhurst, California?
Well, do the words culture shock mean anything to you? The fact of the matter is that I travel a great deal, and frankly, I'm not in Oakhurst all that much. But it's a beautiful area. Not a whole lot of nightlife, not a whole lot of things to do, but a great school district and a wonderful place to raise a family.
A terrific place to put a network.
Well, it doesn't really matter where you put a network, actually, because of the ubiquitous nature of an online service and that we can be anywhere. When you make an 800 number call, do you really know or care where the call is going to? Not really.
Not really. And it really is an indicator how the infrastructure of the whole United States is changing. Things are moving. You didn't used to be able to do this.
And it will soon evolve to the whole world, where we will become one linked cyber community worldwide. It won't be too far off.
Jeff, thank you for joining us.
It's been my pleasure.
My guest today has been Jeff Liebowitz. He's Director of Marketing for the Imagination Network. This network gives access to new forms of entertainment only possible through technology. For Tech Nation, Americans and Technology, I'm Moira Gunn.
This broadcast was brought to you in part by the Tech Museum of Innovation in San Jose, California. The Tech is dedicated to the spirit of innovation in Silicon Valley and throughout the world. Associate producer for Tech Nation, Americans and Technology, is Monty Carlos. Recording engineers are Howard Gelman, Ed Herman, and Seal Muller. The music direction is by Sean Breen, with original music composition by San Francisco songwriters. Title creation provided by NameLab Incorporated of San Francisco. If you'd like a cassette tape or to receive a complete program catalog, call 1-800-959-3430. That's 1-800-959-3430. Send your written comments to Tech Nation, Americans and Technology, Post Office Box 590607, San Francisco, California, 94159. This program was produced at the studios of KQED-FM in San Francisco. Tech Nation, Americans and Technology is a production of Mogotech Media.